This show has always been about America and just old school common sense. It's not about left or right. He called a lid at 10 a.m. today. It's more about right or wrong. It's about cutting through the noise and finding the truth.
It's uncomfortable talking about all of this stuff.
Finding things we have in common, not what divides us. It's about we the people. We do news. We do sports. We do entertainment. And we have a damn good time in the process. This is my show, last time I checked. Hope you guys had a phenomenal weekend. Great little weekend here. Had some. This show has always been about America. And
that darn loop button.
Do it again. Do it again. I hope you had a great weekend. It was a good weekend here. A couple little oddities that occurred, but nothing bad. All good. Good weather. Happy to be with you guys today. Great sports weekend, by the way. Man, if you took my suggestion on the Celtics and Mavericks series so far, you're not off to a great start. Celtics up 2-0 in that one. The Mavericks were on fire. Tom's not in studio. He's remote disco in studio today. But Tom, this is not going on. We both said 4-2 Mavs. Not looking like we're going to be right. It's possible still. It's possible.
It is possible. I think I'm standing firm that it's going to be 4-2 Mavs.
Okay.
I don't know. It goes back to, what the NBA wants. It seems like it's going to be, the potential of a sweep right now, but I don't see it. I agree with you. I think the Mavericks are too good. You're right. Last weekend was a great weekend for sports. I don't know if you caught any of the college baseball super regionals that are going on. There were some phenomenal games there.
I watched part of the Clemson-Florida game, which was outstanding.
Dude, I couldn't believe Florida State put up 24 runs against UConn.
I saw the score. I didn't see that game. But the other game was absolutely insane. The one dude from Clemson's catch was insane. We're talking Willie Mays Hayes style from Major League. It was.
The North Carolina game, what was it, Friday night? You had Vance Honeycutt have a walk-off 2-run homer to beat the Mountaineers. That was an amazing game. And then they won again on Saturday, so they're heading to Omaha.
I love it. Omaha.
And also, I'm sorry, in F1 racing, what's his name? Verstappen.
Yeah.
3 in a row. It's pretty amazing.
I watched that whole damn race. I was going to bring that up. I'm glad you did. It was a F1's always fascinating. I'm totally into it now. I lost a shit ton of money on it. But it was still a fun race. And the weather conditions were just all over the place. It was just misting and it was wild. And then towards the end it was dry, but there was some dry and wet parts. Some more rain came through. What a fun! If you're not into F1, then I recommend you just start watching F1 on Netflix, the series. I don't know what it's called, whatever, Formula One something or other. I think you'll get into it, but we've been watching races now a lot of this year. You guys will. Disco and Tom will hear me bitch about or celebrate my bets on F1 because I like those bets. Literally the only way I lost this weekend is if freaking Verstappen didn't win again. Talk about a stud. We talked about studs last week in a different context. This joker has won 50 out of his last 75 starts.
Incredible. It's incredible.
That's literally mind-blowing. That's insane. Absolutely insane. But it was great. I really enjoyed the Canadian Grand Prix. Yeah, 3 in a row for him. Kyle Larson won in Sonoma. That was an interesting race for NASCAR if you're into that. And then obviously we had some of the NHL and NBA stuff going. We'll talk about that though. Coming up, we do have a lot to get to today, and it's not all sports. We're going to touch on this bill, House Bill 8081, which is in Mississippi. We're just going to touch on that quick. We had Joe Rogan who weighed in on politics, which he frequently does, but weighed in on Republicans, Democrats, how we as a country, maybe not you, but we as a country act and behave and vote during these big presidential elections. John Fetterman, the guy that we used to always make fun of, now we're always like giving him a golf clap somehow, explained his change in politics. Joe Biden did Joe Biden stuff again. We'll show you that. He gave us some pretty remarkable moments this weekend. Caitlin Clark had a real classy response to getting dissed on the Olympic team. We had the Joe Mazzulla, the Celtics coach, who had some great moments with the press this week. And then the White House was surrounded by pro-Palestinian supporters this weekend. We got a lot to get into. We'll get into all of it. But let's face it, guys, things aren't great in this country. Things aren't great with our finances. We're all a little concerned, and we all should be, if we're being honest. But you've all heard the pitch, guys. You've all heard, diversifying your stuff, protecting your savings and retirement with precious metals, with gold and silver. You've heard it for a long time, but you've heard it from companies who don't care about you. They care about their bottom line. They care about doing things in a way that helps them and doesn't really take into consideration what you want. And it's your money. Last time I checked, that's why we're so pumped that we've partnered with Genesis Gold Group. These guys are a faith-based organization. They're conservatives. They're on the right side of everything. They share your values, and they don't trick you or try and lead you into doing something with these gimmicky sales where you get all this stuff for free. They just educate you, help you along the way, which is how those types of relationships are supposed to be, right? If you've got someone who's helping you on precious metals, gold and silver, if you've got someone helping you on traditional IRAs, 401ks, whatever the case might be, you want someone who has your best interest at heart. These guys do. They are Christians. They believe in this country, and they want to talk to you. So give them a call or visit goldwithdrew.com. You can see it on the screen there, goldwithdrew.com. It's also in the show note description. They'll give you a free guide. They'll walk you through, figure out what works best for you. Again, novel concept, since everyone else just is kind of a bull in a china shop and makes you feel bad about everything. So I want to touch on this real quick, then just kind of put it to bed. I don't think it's going anywhere. But you've got Mississippi congressman. Mississippi's such an interesting state. By the way, if you're from there, I'm not slamming on. There's pockets in every state that are crazy. Y'all have got some crazy pockets there. And by the way, also lots of tornadoes. And I'm straight up terrified of tornadoes. I don't like them. I don't know. There's not many things that scare me a whole lot, but they sure do.
Snakes. Tornadoes.
Snakes definitely do. Yeah. By the way, I don't like sharks either.
And that weird alligator head behind you. You don't like that either.
I don't like touching it. It's not my favorite to touch. It's because the bottom is felt, but part of it's broken. So it goes in. So you'll inevitably end up all up in his business. Does that gator have a name, Tom? Do we have a name for the gator?
Fritz.
Fritz.
That's perfect.
By the way, just a little housekeeping here for the stream. We had that little, no one knew, but we had that little glitch. So the Rumble stream right now is just now starting. So however many minutes we are into it now. So it's not the normal 90 seconds. It's a little further, but it's just the way that it's doing it today.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Got you. So that'll be good to know for question of the day.
Yes, that's why I'm filling you in there now.
Very many minutes behind us. Speaking of things that scare me, though, so I don't like snakes. I don't like tornadoes. If a snake comes into my yard, it goes into my burn pit and is doused in fluid, and it's a good
way to just to get rid of it. I mean,
it's great. Yeah. Well, and here's the thing: their family members see and they're like, "Oh shit, stay out of the Berquist yard," because they do some sadistic shit to our people, and we do.
How long do you keep the dead snake out before you put it in the snake pit? That's my question.
Oh no, I don't kill it. I burn it alive in the fire pit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So however they're communicating, PETA's going to be all up in my ass over this. However they're communicating, they're like, "Don't come. This is the best decision ever."
See, for me, I'll chop its head off and I'll let it sit there for at least an hour or so the other snakes or whatever see, if you come over here, this is what's going to happen, and then I burn it.
Yeah. No, mine are burned into wherever they finish. It's like
I like snakes.
Of course you do.
No, as far as the house goes, back when I had a house and before I gave it to my ex-wife.
Do you want to talk about it?
Whenever I saw snakes, I was very happy to see them because, they do serve a purpose as far as I'm concerned. And
no, they do. They do. Absolutely. I just don't like them. I'm not a big fan. But I don't like sharks either. I'm intrigued by them, impressed by them. We watched that Under Paris movie on Netflix last night.
Okay.
At least for us, and I think it's a them thing because like we've got super high speed internet, I have no other issues. The audio, like it was like an old kung fu movie.
So it must have been originally recorded in a different language, which we can look it up and see, and then you had the American overdub because they have a lot of
the French movie. It probably was that.
They have a lot of those right now on Netflix, and you're watching like, why isn't what's going on?
It was so bad. Like my wife was like, this is not a great movie, but it's particularly bad because it's like seconds behind. Shark movies are supposed to be kind of cheesy and corny.
Oh, they're campy.
Yeah. So it's, and it was that. It wasn't the worst one I've ever seen by far. It wasn't like Sharknado or something like that. And if you love the Sharknado films, then God bless you. That's great. But anyways, I started talking about House Bill 808.
There it is.
Mississippi. And so you have Benny Thompson, who's a Democrat congressman there, who suggested and put forward this bill, which would, it's called let me just read it to make sure I get it right. Denying infinite security and government resources allocated towards convicted and extremely dishonorable formal protectees act. No, there's no messaging in the title for that bill whatsoever, right? That's like as long as the school name in Zoolander.
The Center for Kids Who Can't Read Good and Want to Do Other Things Too.
Yes. But basically, what this joker Benny Thompson's put forward is a bill that's not going to go anywhere, which is why I said I want to put this to bed if I hadn't gone on my tangent about snake sharks.
We have already been done talking about it, yeah.
He wants this bill to go through and then strip Trump, who he obviously doesn't like, of any type of security, Secret Service or security protection moving forward because he hurts his feelings. That's basically what this bill is. But again, it's not going to go anywhere. You've got the governor of Mississippi who said, "Look, this isn't going anywhere." You've got the House there. It's not going to go anywhere. So if you're a Trump supporter and you've heard about this bill, I wouldn't sweat it that much because you're in Mississippi, which is one of the most conservative states in the country, if not sections of the planet. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think you're going to be good. But I just wanted to bring it up because I've had some people, weigh in and send messages saying, "Have you heard about this?" I have. I just don't. That doesn't mean that crazy stuff's not going to happen to former President Trump elsewhere. I just don't think that this particular bill is going to go anywhere, given the fact that it's ridiculous and it's in the state of Mississippi, which it's not going to happen.
No, but it goes to the larger picture of what the Democrat Party has become. The Democrat Party hates Trump so much that they want him dead by introducing legislation that would take away his Secret Service protection if he were to go to prison. Benny Thompson is an odious grifter hack of a human being. And I compliment him on letting us know who he is. I just wish he would have renamed the bill, "I hate Trump and want him dead." That would have been a little bit more honest.
Yeah, it would have been more honest.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just agreeing.
That, and also I love that Tom's purple scarf, we can see it, but then we also get a little skin beneath it too. It's quite sensual. It's very relaxing. I feel relaxed looking.
No, I was literally I didn't hear what Tom said. I was just looking at his shirt like, ooh, this is a nice shirt.
Is that lavender?
It's silk.
Ooh.
Well, the bandana is, I guess you could say, lavender.
So we've got
lilac.
A merch lab here in the studio, and we've got a bunch of stuff that's going to be ramping up for that, we're hoping. But we have that, and Tom wants to do some stuff. So Tom brings in a perfect Tom Cunningham. He's like, "I want to do some shirts." And then he brings in the most difficult shirt to print on. Can you do it on this silk nightgown? It's not really what he brought in, but
I have very specific taste when it comes to fabrics.
Oh, you sure do. You sure do. And I totally appreciate it. Like, that's each his own.
And the one thing I found with us having the t-shirts and stuff is places that I used to buy shirts from, I won't buy it from because I don't like the way that the fabric feels. Like, we have really nice shirts here. The fabric is perfect. And it's like, you put on another shirt, you're like, this is itchy. Like,
this isn't like ours. Yeah. Let's talk Joe Rogan. Let's talk Joe Rogan, because he weighed in on how Republicans and Democrats act/vote every presidential cycle here. There's obviously more to his conversation. We're just going to show you like a 45, 50-second clip or so here. But let's take a listen to this, and then let's break it down and discuss a little bit.
And you know what, man? Here's the problem. Here's the real problem. Republicans won't be the solution either, kids. The problem is people in a position of power. The Republicans seem like they are your solution, but it's just because the people in power right now are the Democrats. Whenever the Democrats are out and the Republicans are in, everybody is dying for a Democrat. I remember when Bush was president, after the second term, everybody was like, good Lord, can we get a fucking reasonable Democrat in here before this country goes Christian nationalist and goes crazy and starts every war?
Yeah.
And then Obama comes in like, oh, things going to be great. But it kind of seems like kind of the same, you know, and the whistleblower protection that he promised, actually probably like one of the worst on whistleblowers ever. Drone strikes, kind of a shitload of drone strikes.
Yeah.
The whole thing was bonkers. It's just the same structure with a different face.
All right, so, I mean, he's right, and he's also right with a statement he made early in that Republicans aren't going to save the day. I'm not saying you, conservative listener or viewer, I'm saying the Republican Party,
yeah.
the GOP, the Republican establishment, if you will. And there's a lot more truth to what he says, too. So, and a lot of people will say, yeah, but Trump's going to fix everything. You know, he's going to get in, and I hope he does. But he's going to get in, and he's going to fix everything. But look, we say this all the time. And it's not a slight on Trump or anyone for that matter. Obviously, he's the person in the conversation right now. He's one person. He's one person, and the system is so broken. The real issue here is that Joe's talking about voters. Joe Rogan is talking about voters there. We as a country have a uniparty and a system full of people in D.C. that hate everyday Americans. Don't care what you think, don't care what you're experiencing. They only care about themselves. And then they get everyone to flip out, which we're really good at as a country. And then you've got kind of this seesaw effect that happens in terms of elections because people are either just emotional, dumb, or both.
We're probably one of the worst countries when it comes to overcorrecting.
Yeah.
I mean, just look what happened during COVID. You had people saying, "Oh, we need to do this," and then you had businesses. You know, you had to be 6 feet apart, and then you had businesses who wanted to chime in to look like they were doing something and putting arrows to go down different, the different ways down the shopping aisles.
Still wish we got into that business, but yes.
Yeah, it just stupid things like that is, as far as overcorrecting goes. But back to your point about, one person being able to change the system is set with permanent Washington. What to me, and I kind of knew this, but it really became clear last week when Fauci was up there talking in that committee meeting, and it came to light that there are people in the government's FOIA office who try and scuttle FOIAs that come in. So that just shows you the amount of disdain and disrespect that the bureaucrats in D.C. have for the average person. They believe that they control everything, which to a certain extent they do, and they're not going to relinquish that control. And if Trump does take the presidency again, I go back to 2016 or 2017 when, the big promise from all Republicans, well, we got to reverse Obamacare, we need the House, the Senate, and the presidency. All right, Republican voters gave you that, and what do we get? We got John McCain doing this. And That's what Republicans will continue to do because it's the uniparty. We talk about it all the time. You look at the Democrats right now and Joe Biden's position when it comes to, foreign affairs. He's running the neocon playbook.
Yeah.
When you tell Democrats that, they're like, well, no, at least, Joe Biden's doing things like, passing a bill for, natural hair for women. It's like none of that shit makes a difference.
No, it doesn't.
Well, I was talking to a friend of mine this morning about it and about this, before I knew what we were talking about, it just happened to come up in the topic. And I was sitting there going, let's take, because he was just, going after Trump. I say, hey, let's take it off Trump for a second. Let's just go to someone like Biden. I know he's an easy target right now because of how old he is, but let's go back to younger Biden. We've shown it on here. Clips where he's like, marriage between a man and a woman. Now what is he doing? Promoting
dropping N-bomb.
Yeah,
dude's a problem.
Abortion shouldn't be we shouldn't have abortion. It shouldn't be federalized. It should only be within the states. Now he's like, we're making, he's going against everything he's ever done. So there's no politician who's safe in this at all. They always go. They're just trying to get the vote. They're trying to get what they can, and that's what it is.
What's amazing about it is Joe references, I think he did, at least in my head he did, tribes. And we talk about it. I talk about it all the time that I think the U.S. is absolutely as much, if not more, tribal than Afghanistan, which, if you know anything about Afghanistan or spent any time there, should be a pretty damning thing. That's not a good thing. But what's so interesting about our tribes here is over there it matters, right? Someone pissed in your uncle's lawn and kidnapped your granddaughter years and years ago. Obviously, you're going to have a blood feud over that, especially the latter. But those things really matter. Over here, these tribes are all created. They're created, and notice that none of the people in D.C. who are spinning people up, spinning Americans up, are actually a member of either of the tribes. They're not. They're in their own tribe.
Yeah.
And then everyone else is just like, you son of a bitch, you son of a bitch. But it's like, wait a minute. The person who spun us up isn't on your team either. Like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this again? It's crazy. And I'm not saying that makes it simple and everything could just be, it just goes to show how freaking complicated things are, because they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a brilliant psyop, man. That you explained psyop 101. I've got all the power. I'm going to keep the power, but I need all you other little bastards fighting each other. Now, how do I do that? Oh, I create friction between you guys. And unfortunately, there are a lot of Democrats as well as Republicans who just can't see the big picture and will just go along with whatever because that's what they're told. Instead of, being, it's like with COVID. And, we saw all these mask mandates and even some Republicans putting on masks, to show that they were dutiful and what they were supposed to do, instead of taking a step back and going, you know what, do you think it's possible that the government is lying to us and have been lying to us on a daily basis about this? No, they would never do that. This is for, you want to kill grandma and grandpa if you don't wear a mask. And then it becomes, well, wearing a mask just shows that you care. And it is just now symbolic. And all of it was just so stupid. And the worst part was the people who just went along with it, which scares me looking forward, looking at the future and what road we seem like we're going down and the compliance that will take from the population to make that future a reality. And COVID being a test run seems like all my worst fears and conspiracies could come true because of the mentality of over half the population. Yeah.
No, we have a population problem. There's no two ways about it. We just do. We've got a lot of problems. Let's staying with politics though. Let's transition to one of our favorite people, someone we used to mock relentlessly. And he deserved, to be clear, he deserved it. And I'm not retracting any such mocking. But Democrat Senator John Fetterman, who said and still does, to be clear, I'm not taking John's side here, but said and still says some really dumb things, then had his stroke and his medical stuff that was happening, of course, those statements got even more problematic, as you can imagine, and we showed several times on the program here. But then something switched, and he comes out of the hospital, his wife abandons him and goes to Canada, and this, that, and the other, and all of a sudden you've got this new-looking guy. The lumps on his neck is gone, and you got a newfound Fetterman who just keeps getting things right. And one of the things that really changed for him was and it happened before, but one of the biggest changes was the events of October 7th in Israel, which were, of course, atrocious. He sat down with Bill Maher and kind of talked about some of the changes he's undergone. Let's take a listen, then we'll discuss.
You said, I'm not a progressive, I'm a Democrat. What does that mean? What is that distinction? Because I don't think I've used the word progressive. I think I've said woke. I think there's a big difference between woke, and I know that word triggers a lot of people because it had a great beginning as a meaning, but words migrate, and it went to something else. I think there's a big difference between an old school liberal and a woke person. You say progressive Democrat. How do you describe this?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like I've just say, and I've been saying that for years, actually. I said that, I didn't leave the label. It left me on that.
Right.
And that really, after it happened on October 7th, I really knew that that whole progressive stack would be blasted apart, and there's not going to be any kind of way how the Democrats are going to be able to reply to that kind of, respond to that kind of. And I really decided early on that I believe that was going to be the right side with Israel throughout all of that. And I knew that would going to be Democrats would continue to peel away and kind of walk away from standing with Israel on that. But that's where I decided after.
How do you explain that, if you can, that the people who consider themselves the most liberal have abandoned Israel, which was always a liberal darling, for the people who a terrorist organization, the people who outwardly say they want a genocide, who outwardly are the one side of this who's against the two-state solution. Somehow they wound up with them. Why do you think that is? And will this split the Democratic Party?
Well, it does, because there's an appeal there, and I think you talk about that. Like last week, you really hit with the gender apartheid.
Yes.
And talking about a lot of these issues, and some of the most progressive and left parts of the Democratic Party are standing, for the kind of side that have kinds of organizations like Hamas or these kind of nations that there are no rights for women, and they certainly don't embrace the LGBTQ kinds of lifestyle. And even in Philadelphia, the Queers for Palestine blocked the Pride parade in Philadelphia, and I never saw that on the bingo card, but it's really
hot crowd for the bingo card comment. But he's saying things that again kind of make sense. I'm not saying he's conservative. If you're conservative and you want him to be like you, he's not going to be like you. But like, you remember that the Elon Musk thing way back when, and we reference it all the time. He shows you on his, I should not show the back of that because he shows you on a graph, unless you like phallic symbols, he shows you on a graph how he's here and how the Democrat Party moved, one way. The Republican Party kind of stayed the same. Because we unfortunately kind of always have. There's folks on our side who get things way wrong and have gone this way too. But it's kind of what John is saying. Like, look, I'm here, and
everyone else has moved on.
They left me, and they're frustrated with him now. And that the DNC is like, we got to get this Fetterman cat out of here. But I really just share it because it's been a fascinating journey that John Fetterman has taken us on from, he wins as a stroke patient in the throes of it. Like, it just happened. He sounded like an absolute fool before. Then that happens, and people feel sympathy for him, which you should. You should feel bad for someone when they have a major medical thing like that. But you also shouldn't vote them in to make major decisions for the country either, right?
He'll be fine.
And that state, we always reference, that state voted in John Fetterman right after his stroke and voted in a state election for someone who was dead.
Yeah.
Who won overwhelmingly.
Not like recently dead. It'd been like 3-4 months dead, and yet he still made the
ballots and dominated, I tell you. Good. I forget his name, but wow, damning for our country. But it really is. It's that was the only reason I wanted to show it is we just keep seeing and hearing him say and do things that's like, okay, this guy seems to, we disagree on a lot, and that's okay. But he seems to have a pretty level head on some of these other discussions. He's still, he's not very articulate, but that's okay.
Yeah, but still, good for him. He's sticking with his guns, and he's like, I'm not moving. I haven't moved. Everyone else has moved, and right. I'm not going to go with them just because we're on the same team. I'm going to stick here. This is what I've always believed in. And so some people will be like, I didn't know that, but I didn't vote for that. But right. It's too late. You already voted him in.
Well, that's the thing with Joe's comment and this thing, too, is we get this team mindset. Like, this is my team. I have to go along with them because what? Because why? Like, my old team overseas, you're doing something tight and lives are on the line. Yes, you need to be simpatico and in lockstep with each other for that. You're playing ball and 11 people got to do their jobs or something's going to go wrong. It doesn't work. But when you're talking politics and life in the U.S., your response, I mean, your parents all told you that. You don't jump off the bridge because someone else is doing. Your response shouldn't be like, well, this is kind of like where the Republican Party's going or the Democrat Party's going. I should go this way. No. Don't vote for someone or do something because someone told you should. In fact, if they do,
you should
strongly consider not doing it. Yeah. Like, that's what we've got to get. That tribalism that has been thrown down upon us by the big system, the big machine, whatever you want to call it, the uniparty. We're all crazy. It is, Tom. I mean, it's a psyop that's worked wonders. I mean, it has been so successful for them. Think about it. Our country hates each other. You could not have 9/11 happen today and expect it to be 9/12 tomorrow the way that it was back then. The response wouldn't be the same.
Dude, there were American flags on people's cars in Los Angeles, for months after 9/11. That would never happen nowadays. But getting back to Fetterman, I would be interested to see, when it comes to voting, how much he has been in lockstep with Schumer's program on everything that Schumer has introduced. I would probably say that he's up, in the high 90% of voting for everything that Schumer wants. And also this it still bugs me to this day, the whole basketball short thing. If you're going to be wearing basketball shorts, don't spread your legs. It's just a really bad look, especially if you're a gigantic oafish ogre like he is. And it sends the wrong message. It's like this slovenly appearance where you just don't give a crap, and it's like, I'm just going to wear a hoodie and basketball shorts. That leads to, adults wearing pajamas in grocery stores and somehow that being socially acceptable, or wearing shorts on airplanes. But anyways, back to
Tom doesn't have any strong feelings about any of that.
None at all. None at all.
There's nothing going on beneath the surface there. It's just.
But back to Fetterman. The bottom line for me is he's a Democrat. So just like any other politician, Democrat, Rhino, there's only like maybe 5 politicians when they say something, I take their word for it. Same thing with Fetterman. It sounds reasonable, but is it just lip service?
Right.
I don't know. I don't believe him.
Yeah. Well, and look, again, I'm not saying I'm on Team Fetterman now. It's just, it's nice to hear something different, and it could be a ploy. It could be a number of things. I just, anything that's not complete whack job, far left over there, and the same goes for our side too. I'm clearly a conservative, but the far rights, I'm so sick of all of the extremes. Like it needs to change. But it's not going to, because we've got a system who's allowed this guy to get in. We got Biden speaking over the weekend. And again, this goes back to my 2020 message. The video that's done the most on YouTube before YouTube let us not do things anymore. We're still there, but they just hate us that much. Was I don't care if you like Trump or not, just don't vote for this guy. That was Biden in 2020 when he was really bad. Now he's atrociously bad. He's talking here about money for Ukraine, except for he doesn't say Ukraine. Take a listen.
The idea that we become semi-isolationists now, which some are talking about, I mean, the idea we had to wait all those months just to get the money for Iraq because we were waiting. I mean, it's not who we are. It's not who America is.
We just need the money for the surge in Fallujah.
Oh my gosh! Again, I just don't get it, man. I know most people have come around and are realizing, okay, this guy's not well, and that's good. It's good to see more people feeling that way. But golly, I mean, let's just show one more clip before we're done with him, because we've shown him struggling to get off the stage, right? He always does the like, where am I going? And we always talk about how there should be arrows and this, that, and the, I think this was let's have a little mini question of the day before the full question of the day. I think this one was perhaps the worst exit yet. He's trying to leave the podium. I mean, this thing lasts for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, you ready? You ready for it?
Yeah, let's go.
Mr. President, thank you. At the end of such a momentous event, the word thank you seems kind of inadequate. But for all the millions whose lives will be saved, for the communities where life will be transformed, thank you.
That was hard.
It's hard. Because, I mean, it's not, again, act as if you pick away, just go and own it. You're the president. No one's going to question
The Secret Service will adapt.
No, exactly. Everyone will adapt and rally around what you're doing. But when there's literally the stop and the turn and then the turn back and then, like, I mean, it's just so embarrassing. And it really is. It's embarrassing for this damn country to have someone who is that ill and mentally not with it, cognitively not with it in office. And everyone, you know, on the left who's watching, well, it's better than Trump. I hate Trump. Like, stop it. You've got anger issues. I didn't ask if you like Trump or not. I said, do you think this guy right here is fit to serve as commander-in-chief of our country? That's the question.
Should he be holding the football?
Right.
He looked like a Roomba on a tile floor that's coming up against the throw rug.
Yes.
You know, trying to like negotiate how to get around the throw rug in the hallway.
Yeah, it's special.
That was bad. At that point, the person who was directing him should have just came up on stage and said, "Here, come this way," or go that way. Not be waving him off. The waves were confusing him even more.
Right. Well, then I love when Mr. President, he's like, huh! He's like a total... Wow.
But then also you can see how the camera guy who's filming it is also covering for him. He got off the shot when he knew that there was, you know, that Biden was going through a system meltdown. And because then he centered up on the podium and he didn't get a shot of the guy who was talking, but he was giving cover to Biden because Biden was still continuing to be lost on that end of the stage that you couldn't see.
Yeah. Yeah. Bad news is that we have a dementia-ridden person sitting in the Oval Office, and it's, as I said, very embarrassing. Good news, we get to laugh about it, although I still would rather have someone who's just not a complete disaster and not be able to laugh about it. But also the good news, I'm going to head over to the lounge. We've got some great stuff coming up this week in terms of sports. So let's kind of transition. Let's give a little rosier look at what's coming this week. We talked earlier in the show about how it was a great weekend for sports. F1, you had Sonoma for NASCAR, you had the NBA, the NHL, you had all sorts of stuff happen. Scotty Scheffler winning the Memorial Cup, his young kid in tow, all of that. This week, we've got, starting tonight, if you're a hockey fan, if you're not, you're watching the wrong show, we got the Stanley Cup Finals, Game 2, Edmonton at Florida. Okay, watch the TV. If nothing else, just watch because all the women flash their boobs now. So check that out.
If you don't like the fighting, stay for the boobs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Speaking of, that gives me another. But it's 8 p.m. tonight, Game 2. Panthers up 1-0 in that series. Did we show on the show, or was that an art? I think it was an article over on rvmnews.com, and you should check out rvmnews.com, the news site. Everything that's going on there, news, sports, entertainment, lifestyle, all sorts of stuff there. But the Canadian Hockey League, which is like a umbrella for several other developmental leagues up there, they've implemented an on-ice cameraman for fights.
Yeah.
So when fights break,
they're allowed to come out.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
So they for a while too, they've had cameras on the officials. So when a good play's coming, the officials scare, they'll cut to it in a replay. So and he's got the best shot for he's got to be able to say that's a goal or no goal. That's exciting to see that, because I have buddies who do the on ice camera for the pre and post show stuff. So that means if it gets implemented in the NHL, they're going to begin to go out on fights, which is going to be awesome.
Well, here's the thing. I think it does, because if you look at this, you say, well, the NHL's this big bad beast, and they are, and it's a great league. But we've referenced it a bunch of times in the show. Tom, you reference it all the time. You look at the NFL, who's obviously doing pretty well business-wise.
Yeah.
What did they do when the XFL launched? The XFL got their asses kicked, but they took some of the camera shots from the XFL and implemented it.
Yeah.
I could see the NHL doing this, because it was. I watched this. It was a clip of a game from their playoffs. I don't know if it was the championship or what it was, but I don't remember. But I watched a clip of it. And it is so badass. Just right up,
coming in,
right up in there.
No, that's awesome. No, and I like that. If you can have these minor leagues implementing new thing, like especially with the XFL, they're doing technology in the helmets to understand how much G-forces they're getting on hits, all that stuff. Awesome. Use it there. They let that be the guinea pigs, and then bring it up to the major leagues, so you're not like testing stuff out in a critical game. But that I'm going to be excited to see that. I'm going to have to go back and watch that clip, because
I'll find it for you. Yeah, I mean it's awesome.
Also, too, on Sunday we've got the UFL championships. We've got you got that one on there? I can't quite see it.
It's on that one. I think is Saturday.
Oh, it is? I thought it was Sunday. I was looking at tickets.
Maybe. Speaking of tickets, you've got something.
You've got an event coming up.
Yeah, Monday Night Raw tonight in Toledo.
Yeah, baby. Go get yourself a title. All right. Go get yourself.
That was a heartbreaker. My Michigan Panthers did make it. Skip Holtz and the Birmingham Stallions are in, along with Wade Phillips and the
Brahmas,
San Antonio Brahmas.
Yeah. So you've got tonight. You've got Edmonton Oilers. Wednesday, obviously a spattering of stuff in between. Wednesday, though, you've got Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Mm-hmm. Celtics up 2-0, going to Dallas. See if Luka and Kyrie can get it together. Thursday again for Game 3 of the Stanley Cup. Friday, Game 4 of the NBA Finals. I think it's Saturday. Confirm that, Disco or Tom. But I think it's Saturday, 5 p.m. on Fox, is the first ever UFL championship between Birmingham and San Antonio. But I might be wrong on that.
Sunday, June 16th.
Sunday. Okay, so disregard this graphic. Saturday is the next game of the Stanley Cup. That's wrong too. It's Game 4. But you get the point. We've got all sorts of stuff coming up this weekend, or coming up this week, I should say. So some really good stuff to look forward to. And it'll be. I'm curious to see if in that game, which is Sunday, not Saturday for the UFL, 5 p.m. on Fox between Birmingham and San Antonio, if there's decent attendance for that. Because again, that's been the thing that frustrates the hell out of me with those games. There's been good ball that's being played. There's just no one there.
Right, and I think it was a great choice for the UFL to have the championship game in St. Louis, because out of all the teams, the Battlehawks have the best attendance. And, St. Louis, for whatever reason, no matter what kind of sporting event it is, the fans show up for it.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure I'm pulling it up. I'm pretty sure the Battlehawks had the best record in their their conference.
To the Brahmas.
Yeah, they were the top ones in the XFL conference throughout the year until the Brahmas knocked them out. So good stuff. Let's get to that's your week in sports. Let's get to the question of the day. We showed you the clips of Joe Biden just moments ago. So my question is now, the Democrats have until August. We know what's going on with Trump and the trial and the sentencing that's coming down July 11th, 4 days prior to the RNC convention, and some of the issues that might come there. We've already talked about that question. But you've got till August, if you're the DNC and the Democrats, to replace what I think most of them want to, if they're being honest. None of them want Joe to be the candidate. So the question is, do you think that the Democrats replace Joe Biden between now and then? Send your answers in. We're a little off today in terms of the stream. So
they're just now getting to Biden walking off the stage, so I don't think we're going to see him.
So you guys talk about it. We'll maybe come back to it. We'll share our responses. But before we do that, make sure that you check out our good friends over at Preppers All Natural, Prepper Beef. It's an amazing place. You see people with this state that we're in the country, not just the country, the world, everywhere. And you see the concerns that are there, whether it's logistics and all of that, whether it's viruses and pandemics or plandemics, whatever you want to call them, all of that stuff. There's lots of concerns. There's lots of reasons that you've hopefully in your head, if nothing else, disregard what I'm saying and start to hear that you should be getting prepared for things so you and your family are good. But hopefully you've done that. Hopefully you've realized it's advantageous to be prepared. And then hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Never use the stuff if you don't have to. The good news is with this partner, though, if you go to preparewithbeef.com, this is stuff that you could eat tomorrow and enjoy because it's all American beef. You can get it ribeye, New York strip, tenderloin, sirloin, you name it. They've got all sorts of cuts. It's freeze-dried, sous vide. You can on the screen there, you're seeing sous vide filet mignon, and now I'm starving. You get it sent to your house. You rehydrate it, reconstitute it, cook it however you want, or, prepare it with some other stuff if you've got it. If it's emergency, you've just got great protein and great beef. This is a partner we're excited about, so go check it out. It's preparewithbeef.com. Use promo code RVM, that's RVM, to get 25% off. All right. So the question, Tom, do you think Joe Biden is replaced? Do you think the Democrats make a swap here between now and August?
I think if Joe Biden gets a lot worse, and I made this prediction in 2020 that the way that Joe Biden gets off the ticket is he says the N-word in public. I think my chances of that happening are pretty good, and I think with each passing day they get better and better with his deterioration. Yeah, I believe that the Democrats are going to take the L on this one. And Trump is going to get back in, but again, it's going to be Republicans scuttling him. Look what they're doing to the House. They're setting up the House so it can be taken over, given back to the Democrats. So, unfortunately, I see, Trump walking into a trap where he gets back in and he's a lame duck for 4 years. So I don't think they replace him unless something really drastic happens. I think they take the L and move on.
Okay. All right.
No, I'm kind of on the same page here. I think if he had been doing better cognitively, they'd be like, let's just let it ride. Let's see what's going on. But they haven't been propping anyone up really recently. I mean, there was time where it seemed like Newsom was going to be something. There was prospects earlier on, but then it seems like it's kind of quieted down. So I kind of agree with Tom. Like, you know what? It's just 4 years. We can pick this back up again in 4 years. And
well, yeah, I think you're right. I think that Trump likely is going to be a lame duck in that scenario. At minimum, he's not going to have all the tools. Let's also remember too, the first part of his first term he did, and it didn't matter. Not blaming him for that. But I mean, I think that these people, and I say these people, damn near all of them working in the government, except for friends Eli and Anna. And a couple others, these people don't care about you, and that's both sides. That is the uniparty. So to see them make a change means admitting failure, and admitting that they've had a guy in there who's not well enough to do the job. So I kind of think no. I could see it happen. I wouldn't be shocked if it happened, but I'm like 70-30 at best, 80-20 more likely that Joe is still there. And in the position, because again, like in their eyes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. To us, we see the country broken as all hell, but to them, they're like, okay, we're executing everything we want to, so why change?
Yeah, and also to kind of piggyback off of what Tom's saying, and Tom, I want to hear what you think about this, but maybe they're not even thinking of it as a loss if Trump wins. Just like you said, they have the House and they have all these other things in place. Let's let him not get anything done. Then our whole position can be, look, your president got nothing done for the last 4 years. We're the better party. We need to come in here and make America awesome, or whatever. They're going to come up with some kind of phrase, but it's not a loss for them. It's going to look good for them if Trump can't get anything done.
Right. Yeah. On paper, it's an L, but it's actually a win because the Democrats have painted themselves in a corner with Kamala Harris. She's totally unlikable. Everybody knows that she's a nitwit and a moron, and has no business being in the position that she's in other than her race and gender. And so if you come in and replace Joe with Newsom, you can't do that because all of a sudden it becomes, oh, we need a white savior to come in. They can't do that. Big Mike I don't see Big Mike joining, he hates the country, and is having too much fun, drowning, chefs. So I just, I don't know if that's true or not. But I don't see a replacement. I see, Trump getting in, them getting 4 years to regroup, find somebody, and push that person on us in the following election.
Okay. All right.
By the way, Foster brought up something really good we missed for our graphic, the U.S. Open this week.
Oh, yes, it is. Yeah. And we've got the young kid who's 8 years old playing in it. Damn near, might as well.
Might as well be. Do you know, I think it was 10 years ago, there was a sixth grader who played in the Masters. He qualified and everything. He didn't make the first cut, but he got invited by, I think it was Jack Nicklaus. I think he got him an invitation to come. It was actually kind of cool. He played.
I remember a young kid. I don't remember being that young.
Yeah, he was he was sixth grade. I remember I was like, what? And then, but it was, he played, he qualified in the right amount of tournaments and he got an invitation and got to play. And, but obviously didn't make the cut, which would have been awesome. Could you imagine if they're like, here's your jacket, but they still kept it like a big jacket? Like it was just like a dad's jacket. Yeah.
Let's talk Caitlin Clark. We've done it a lot lately, as has everyone else, but it's an important story. What's been going on with, first just her in general and how talented she is, but then also, the spat and the whole dust up with Kennedy Carter and Angel Reese and the folks over on Chicago Sky. But she got snubbed, as everyone is, I think, well aware of now, by the USA Olympic team, not going to be playing for the women's Olympic team. And there's lots of frustration on the part of Caitlin Clark fans. There's lots of people on the other side describing and defending why it makes sense that she wasn't there. But let's take a listen to Caitlin's response on the matter.
Caitlin, what was your reaction when you saw the USA team yesterday, the roster come out?
Yeah, I think I'm excited for the girls that are on the team. I know it's the most competitive team in the world, and I know it could have gone either way of me being on the team, me not being on the team. So, I'm excited for them. I'm going to be rooting them on to win gold. I was a kid that grew up watching the Olympics, so it'll be fun to watch them.
What was your level of disappointment not hearing your name on the roster?
Honestly, no disappointment. I think it just gives you something to work for. That's a dream. Hopefully one day I can be there, and I think it's just a little more motivation. You remember that, and hopefully in 4 years, when 4 years comes back around, I can be there.
Did you have a direct conversation with managing director or whoever over there at USAB recently?
Yeah, they called me and let me know, and before everything came out, which was really respectful of them, and I appreciated that. And they did the same for every girl that made the team or every girl that didn't make the team. There's a lot of players in the Olympic pool, so it wasn't like I was the only one they had to call. They had to make quite a few calls.
Are you looking forward to a break, from Olympic action, basketball in general, I guess?
Absolutely. It's going to be really nice. I've loved competing every single second, but it's going to be a great month for my body to, first of all, get rest and get healthy and just get a little time away from basketball and the craziness of everything that's been going on, and just find some peace and quiet for myself. But then additionally, a great opportunity for us to work and get better, a great opportunity for myself to get in the weight room, to work on the court and work at things that I want to get better at that I maybe didn't have time going from college to the pro season. So I'm looking forward to it. But at the same time, we still have a month of games where we have a lot of opportunities to win a lot of games. So that's where my main focus is.
So takes the high road, super classy response.
Yeah, very professional.
Really? That's a master class in how you do it.
That league doesn't deserve her.
No, they don't. Well, you saw that you and I texted about it, Tom. We had both seen, I forget the chick from Chicago and her press conference, post-game press conference, and just how kind of like gangster rude she was. Wasn't cool.
She was moronic.
Yeah.
It would be the nicest way to put it. She's just a moron, and that, was on total display. The WNBA reminds me of the punk singer Gigi Allen from back in the day, where, Gigi Allen was notorious for, defecating on stage and throwing it at the audience. That's what I feel like the WNBA is. The WNBA for years has been talking about how they're not getting any coverage. Now they're getting the coverage and they don't like it. So they're pretty much they're turning on their fans because they're getting popular not in the way that they wanted to get popular. And, I was having all sorts of, debates on social media over the weekend about this. And like you're saying, people trying to justify it and stick up for, the reasons why she wasn't on the team. The bottom line, she's not on the team because she's not part of the Alphabet Mafia. If Caitlin Clark were to come out as a lesbian, she would have been on the team. That's the bottom line. You can say whatever you want. You can sugarcoat it that she hasn't paid her dues. We're talking about the most prolific scorer in collegiate history being left off the team, and people are saying, well, she missed the deadline, because she was competing in the tournament. Those are all BS excuses. The fact of the matter is she puts people in seats and she fills up arenas and gets people to watch. So when I find it humorous, the same people making the argument that Caitlin Clark doesn't deserve to be on the Olympic team are, number one, are the same ones who pushed for masks and also the jab, but also are the same ones who thought it was spectacular and sensational and great for football that Taylor Swift was, a part of football last year. And that was one of my points that I made to him. It's like, the NFL was looking to try and grow their brand, and whether you hated it or liked it or were nonplussed about it, Taylor Swift got a whole new crop of people in to watch the NFL and broaden their brand. The Super Bowl was the highest rated Super Bowl in history and one of the highest rated shows ever. And
right.
That's what you get with Caitlin Clark. And if I'm a business owner, if I'm a member of the league, I want attention like that, because then my pay is going to go up. The league is going to get much better and get a lot more popular. But the fact that your brightest star that you're trying to push aside and say, you know what, she's not the star of the league. It's all these chicks who act like dudes who are all tatted up. They're the actual stars of the league. And it's like, no, they're not. Those chicks were the reason why people didn't watch it to begin with. She's the reason why people are starting to watch it now, because she's relatable. She's a total relatable person. She's not, like the players of the past. It's totally different. And you could say that about the whole crop of new rookies. They're totally different, just looks-wise, and how they carry themselves as the players in the past WNBA.
Yeah.
They're missing out on a lot of viewers. People have already come out saying, I'm not going to watch the Women's Basketball Olympics event because Caitlin's not going to be there. It would have been a huge draw. It would have been just like the spike they had at the female soccer team all those years ago. Like, it would have been a spike there that they would have never saw. But now they're not going to, at least on this one, at least on this Summer Olympics, because she's not there. Hey, she didn't make the cut. Cool. You know what? Remember when they used to not put professionals in the Olympics and it was more collegiate or people who were just, semi-pros, whatever? Those are the ones who showed up for the nation. She would have totally made the clear back then. You know what I mean? She probably would have been invited to the team back then because she was an amazing she's an amazing basketball player.
Yeah. Now
it's just politics. Now it's just, come on. If that was Kennedy in that interview, she'd be like, this is racist. It's because I'm black. She would have totally called them out on it and been this whole, but no, she did the right professional thing. Hey,
yeah,
good.
Yeah, well, I mean, and look, we were talking about this in the studio earlier. No one watches women's basketball in the Olympics. You can say everyone rallies around like women's volleyball and stuff like that. Yes, there's certain sports though that just always fall by the wayside. And now that Caitlin's not there, it's going to be down. And we're like, this is BS that no one's watching. Well, you had your chance. And you had your chance to not just add ratings, but improve your chances of winning too. Because it's not like she was like a charity case of adding to the team.
Yeah.
But
I mean, give me a break. You've got 42-year-old Diana Taurasi on the roster.
Yeah.
You know what? If I'm one of the members of the team, you know, for the good of the league, if I were Diana Taurasi being 42 and reaching the end of my career, I would say, look, I'm going to give my spot to Caitlin because she's the face of the new generation of women's basketball. You know, I had my time in the sun, and now it's time to pass on the baton. But they won't do it because Caitlin Clark isn't a part of the mafia.
No.
But you can probably, you know, rely on this. The owners of the Fever, the coaches of the Fever are probably like, thank God she's not going because it's not another game it's another game that doesn't really matter to our season. She's not going to get injured. She's going to rest up. It's going to be fine. Like they're probably okay with it. Well, because it's just the least chance of her getting injured.
Well,
you know?
and the girl needs a break. I mean, she came right out of the Final Four, the college national championship, into the draft. I mean, it was right after it, and then right into training camp late, and then the season's going. So, but that still doesn't mean it's right. It'll be good for her, and yeah, I'm sure that there's some peeps there that are pleased. But let's stay with basketball for a second. Celtics up 2-0 in the NBA Finals, as we've already addressed, over the Mavericks. And I'm glad I didn't put money on that because I'd be wrong at this point. But you have their head coach who's made some waves this week in the post-game press conferences or what have you. And I love it. You've got Joe Mazzulla, who's not only, again, like I said, up 2-0 in the series here, but he's winning on the mic. Boy, is he winning on the mic. See, I got two clips for you. First one here, you've got a reporter who tries to make the coaches in the series about race, as journalists often do. Let's try and create something that's not a thing. And he shuts him down with this. Just look at this exchange.
Hey, Joe, Ben School with Yahoo Sports. For the first time since 1975, this is the NBA Finals where you have two black head coaches. Given the plight sometimes of black head coaches in the NBA, do you think this is a significant moment? Do you take pride in this? How do you view this, or do you not see it at all?
I wonder how many of those have been Christian coaches. David Aldridge?
I love it. I mean, first of all,
way to get them to be quiet.
He drops Jesus on him, which I love. And then literally crickets, not a word. The guy is just like, mm-hmm.
I love that he took the moment to scan the room, to see everyone's eyes. Like, what are they looking up? Are they shocked? What are they doing? Nothing? Okay, cool. Thank you.
I picked the other last week. I picked the Mavs to win 4-2 just because of how hot they were. But I've told you, I'm not so happy with Luka Doncic, okay, for knocking my T-Wolves out. So I'd love for them to lose, the Mavericks. And now seeing Mazzulla and just who he is as a person, it's like, all right, classic team, outstanding uniforms. Don't like it when they wear black. Sorry, Masshole, or any Celtics fans that like the black ones. I like just the white and the green. Let's just keep it simple. But Tom's laughing at me. Look, uniforms matter. But
yeah.
But Joe, I mean, amazing response, and he's got another one because then you've got this chick. I forget where she's from. She'll tell you, I'm sure. I'm whatever. But she, and this is a different game, right? But,
yeah.
But this is still Joe Mazzulla on the mic, asking about the Royals being in attendance at a Celtics game and what his thoughts were on the matter. Take a listen.
A non-basketball question. Did you get a chance to meet with the royal family? And if not, how was it like having them there in the building?
Jesus, Mary, and Joseph?
The Prince and Princess of Wales.
Oh, no, I did not. I'm only familiar with one royal family. I don't know too much about that one.
I love it. I mean, as I start watching Mazzulla clips, I'm like, I didn't honestly know a whole lot about Joe Mazzulla, if I'm being real honest with you, because as I've told you, I didn't really get back into the NBA until the T-Wolves were in the playoffs, because it's a long season and they've made some horrible political decisions as a league. But if my Minnesota teams are in there, I break all rules and become a total hypocrite and get involved. But this guy is a stud. I mean, I love it. And some people might say it's just for this, that, or the other. But I tell you what, man, standing up for faith and Christianity in this world is probably the most difficult thing you can do. So to use his platform and do that, I love it. And also shutting down, like, who cares about the royals? Who cares about the Pope? Who cares about the this? Who cares about the that? Like, that's not the point. And I just love the way that he's done it.
No, it's good to see a little change there, especially with the baiting there in the first one about race.
Yes.
You know, it's like, you know what? Any other coach probably would have taken that and let's go. Let's talk about it. But he's like, no.
Dude, how dumb do you have? First of all, sports reporters are some of the dumbest human beings I've ever been around. They're like politicians. There's only a handful that I have worked with before, and I know personally that I have a tremendous amount of respect for, because they appreciate the job that they have and the job that they do. But most of them are just, you know, the douchiest jock sniffers you've ever been around in your entire life. But to lead with a question about race with the NBA is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, it's the dumb, one of the dumbest questions I've ever heard of before. It doesn't fit with anything, and I think his response was great. And then the second question, didn't the Royals have their, you know, Harry and Meghan have their titles stripped from them? So are they technically still, you know, part of the royal family?
Well, who knows? That was an older clip, so who knows when that was from. I don't know.
But I think it's like their titles are there, but their duties, they have no requirements of their duties, I believe. So, like, for instance, if King Charles, right? If he were to die, the oldest son would step in. He still has claim to the throne if his brother were to get sick and die. Right now they have no duties. Those are the two of them, I believe.
Typical.
Yeah.
Typical.
Because blood runs deeper than.
So let's use people who have no duties or responsibilities in life.
I was going to mention this real quick about basketball. For some reason, I went down the rabbit hole of looking at old games from the 1980s, old basketball games. And you talk about a unique, you know, talking about two black coaches since 1975. I was watching it. I can't remember. It was the Boston Celtics who were there playing, but the Celtics had 5 white guys on the court.
Oh, yeah. Like the Bird McHale era and all of that. Yeah.
Well, and you also had Bill Walton, and I think it was Bird's. Massel will probably know this question or answer to this, but I believe it was Bird's rookie season. Pete Maravich was on the team too.
Yeah, wild. That's growing up. That's what I viewed the Celtics as, not for better or worse, because I didn't view the world in as negative a lens as I do now. But growing up, you're like, the Celtics is the white team. Like that. I mean, that's kind of how you saw it. They had a white star surrounded by white sub-stars. Not to say, you know, McHale's a sub-star, but you know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of what you saw. Like they weren't just white. They were like pasty-ass white.
Well, I mean, you had a good team. You know, You had Robert Parrish, you had Dennis Johnson, who I think is one of the most underrated guards of all time, and you know, you had Danny Ainge, who you know was a pretty good 3-point shooter, and Bird. You know, that was a strong team back then.
Yeah, 100% it was, 100%. Let's finish on this story. Pro-Palestinian protesters surrounded the White House over the weekend. We'll show you the scene, then we'll discuss. sense of it. You can see what the scene was like there. We can just keep the B-roll up. But no, I mean, no big deal, right? Just all sorts of craziness outside the most important building in our country.
I just love the disdain for when they see the police walk by. They're all just like pigs.
Yeah. I mean, these are the kind of scenes. Look, I mean, we understand how we got here. We understand how broken everything is in our country, how broken we are. I don't care who's in office and what party they're with, allegedly. This kind of stuff shouldn't happen. The stuff that's become commonplace over the last several years shouldn't happen, where you see freaking angry kids, because that's what they are, who retreat back to their parents' basement at the end of the day, eat their Hot Pockets and all of whatever they eat. I don't know what they eat these days. But they do this stuff all the time. They face no consequences whatsoever. And then because of that, they get up and they do it again the next day or the next week or the next month or what have you. And it drives me insane that it's commonplace in present day America in 2024. It has been really the last several years. I mean, you could go back to Ferguson, but since the St. Floyd riots of 2020, this has all become just normal. And I hate it. And I don't just hate it because I don't like the people and all the mouth breathers that are out there doing it. I hate the government's response. Local, state, federal, all of them, with the exception of some places. I mean, you don't see that kind of stuff happen as much here in free Florida and some of the other states that actually care about how things are going. But it is. It's just so normal. It's like the laws that you can look, man. You can steal up to $1,800 worth of stuff as long as you don't go past that. You're good. You can assault a police officer or a federal building. Just there's all these just ridiculous things, and I literally just show it because those types of people who think that they're making change, and of course are making no change or have no influence whatsoever. They still do stupid things like in camping and encircling our White House and face no consequences. And it drives me really freaking bonkers.
Right. Well, it's all part of the psyop, man. Because you've got the two sides. When you have got the January 6th, when you had feds involved with that, I guarantee you there are feds involved with this, and feds are fed assets, I should say, are involved with this. The intel community, the security apparatus of the federal government have people in places, in these marches, everywhere at all times. And a lot of them are the ones, like during the St. Floyd riots, right before all the fires started, there's this one famous video outside an auto parts store of a white dude with a black mask on taking a hammer and smashing the windows of the auto parts store, which to me was the beginning of riot season then. And I guarantee you he was some sort of a Fed asset. And then you fast forward to January 6th when the window's coming down and there's a window getting bashed in at the Capitol. And you see one of the protesters walk up to the dude that's doing it. And he's like, "Hey, man, stop doing it." And the guy gives him a shove. And It's not your typical shove. It's a shove that somebody has like prior military and law enforcement experience. It's that kind of a shove. And I know it's a weird little subtlety, but those subtleties are there that you pick up on. And to me, when I saw that, I was like, okay, there's a Fed asset, in that crowd. And I guarantee you, whenever things get violent, especially on the left, and there's like stand down orders, that's all part to drive wedges between people and try and get the right to act out. Because when the right acts out or acts up and there are other Fed agitator assets in the crowd, the right always ends up going to prison. And the left are just, they're just, they got, they liberated some sneakers from Foot Locker and everything's cool.
Yeah. Liberated. I'm just freeing these sneakers from oppression. No, it's it befuddles me. It frustrates the piss out of me and takes words away how the double standards are and just what we see and experience. Because again, I don't care. And if it was our side doing something stupid, I wouldn't want bad behavior rewarded either. I just hate the simple, basic concepts, because I think we can make everything so simple in life. We don't. We overcomplicate the piss out of everything. But if there's consequences for actions, and the toddlers running around doing these protests and throwing fireworks at cops and throwing stuff at the White House and this building and that building and breaking windows and all, if there was actually consequences and our laws were actually followed, I know that's a crazy thought, then we wouldn't fix everything, but God, there'd be a lot more order. The self-inflicted wounds are so catastrophic, and there's so many to the point now where it's. I always say this, and I believe it. Our system is so broken. There's no way in hell we can get it back. We can delay the inevitable. We can kick the can down the road, and by all means, we should try that at every freaking step that we can, to put this person in office, put these people in office, and delay it. But the traction that the other side has gotten, and the way that the masses have been like, yeah, I kind of like this new lawless world. Like, that genie's not going back in the bottle. It's just not.
No, and you're right. We're going to end up having a society like communist Chinese, where you're going to, get a code on your phone each day letting you know where you can go, if you can leave your house or not. That's just the road that we seem to be going down. But you can, we try and stave that off as much as possible, and it's like little things. If you're going through the airport now with TSA, this is how sneaky the federal government is. You go up to TSA if you don't have pre-screen or whatever, and I'm not sure, because I don't have the TSA pre-checked. I just never got around to it. But when you go in, you give them your ID, and then the TSA agent says, stand in front of the camera, and they take your picture. That's all part of, data collection of you, and to mark your movements. But they make it sound like you don't have an option when you do have an option. You don't have to have your picture taken. You have to consent to that. But by the way, the terminology that they use, they make it seem like you don't have a choice when you do have a choice. They say, stand in front of the camera, and you say, do I have to? They say, well, no, you don't have to. And it's like, okay, here's your ID back. All right, we'll see you later. You don't have to do it. I know it sounds trite, to do something like that, but that's all part of resisting and not going along with the system that they want to put in place.
Well, and that's the problem is you pick your example, whether it's that. No, I actually would prefer you don't take my picture, and you don't have to get into, because legally I know that you can't, and you don't have to do all that. You can do it politely. The problem is most of us, from at least the older generations, were conditioned to do the right thing, the kind thing, not to make waves and rock the boat, and I like that, and I wish that people in my neighborhood would frickin' wave back at me when I wave at them, because that's just the nice thing to do.
It's always funny to see that they don't wave.
They're miserable old people, so many of them. There's great people in our neighborhood too, but you try and do the right thing. But a lot of those things, those cultural kind of rearing aspects, not rearing like you guys do it in the millennial and Gen Z generation, like bringing up and teaching and nurturing. It can be to our detriment too, because the new world doesn't appreciate those things. So you end up getting run over because you're trying to do the right thing and to be nice, and it really is. It's tricky. It's a backwards world.
We grew up, for most of us, a baseline of trusting the government, thinking the government had our best interest at heart. And now what are we finding? We're finding that for a lot of them, the government doesn't have the citizens' best interest at heart. They have their own interests at heart, and they have big business interests at heart, and they have their donors' interests at heart. The average citizen, be damned, they don't care. They want to make you, into just a cog in the wheel, and have you eat crickets, have you put on a mask, can't send your kid to school. Oh, I'm sorry, your parent died. You can't have a funeral for him. After COVID, the spotlight is on of how much the ruling class actually despises the average citizen.
Yeah. Is there anything positive we can
going to say? That's a little happy.
Well, the positive thing is, like you're saying, just be polite, but resist. You don't have to do it.
Yeah.
You know, you don't. You know, we've got 10 million illegal aliens boarding planes without IDs, and you want to take my picture? Y'all can go to hell.
Yeah. No, fair point. Well, and I do. I mean, that's always been. I think I'm consistent with that. Like, I encourage people. Like, you can do things, Kyle. You don't have to be a douchebag. Sometimes we all have our douchebag moments, and those can be fun. But it doesn't have to always be that way. You can push back without going that way. And there's times where you got to ratchet things up a little bit, for sure. We'll end on this positive note. The reminder is tonight is Game 2 of the NHL playoffs.
That's right.
The finals are, you got the Oilers down in Miami, just 4 hours south of here, 5 hours south of here. So Game 2 will be tonight, 8 p.m. So check that out. Playoff hockey is outstanding. It will be a great game. And while the woman in Edmonton is very intriguing, I gotta go with the Panthers here because they're the team in our state.
No, I like when it's funny. I did a whole bracket for the finals and stuff, completely off, but I didn't care. Great hockey was being played.
Yeah,
and I didn't even have the Panthers making it, and then I'm like, no, the whole time like, go Panthers, like they're killing it.
Yeah,
great hockey is being played. I think the last two in the semifinals, those were great.
Great series.
Great series. Yeah, this one is going to be a great series too. With those two, it could have ended there, and I would have been happy.
Yeah,
it was really good. But go Panthers.
No, go Panthers indeed. So check that out tonight if you're so inclined. 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out with us as always. It has been a fun hour and 26 minutes. We hope you have a great rest of your night. We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Be safe. Be smart. Be free.
Mike Lindell here, and like you, I see our country being destroyed daily. We face massive economic issues, and I can tell you from firsthand experience, there are people in power who threaten the values that have made our country great. Well, I've been a believer in gold and silver for a long time, and I've searched for years for a partner that shares my values. Well, Genesis Gold Group showed me how easy it is to protect your IRA, 401k, or your retirement with gold and silver. Their faith-driven approach to service and stewardship is one that stands out from the rest.
To get your free definitive gold guide and get started learning more about investing in gold and protecting your retirement from uncertain times, visit treasureandtrust.com now. Fill out the basic contact form and a member of the team will be in touch. Again, that's treasureandtrust.com or call 855-625-7760.